Growing and Developing Professionally, 4D, Part 6 of 6. Specifically, we're going to look at how a teacher welcomes and uses feedback from a variety of stakeholders, including colleagues, administrators, students, parents, external educational partners, to improve practice and advance student learning. To do that, the tool we're going to use to collect the information is Google Forms. And Google Forms are part of the Google Apps suite under Google Drive. And so Google Drive, you get into Google Drive by creating a Gmail account. Many of you have already had that because we've already covered Google Drive. Now we're going to drill down specifically to Google Forms. In Google Drive, just as a summary, you can create your own documents, you can create your own spreadsheets, your own presentations, but you can also do other things, including creating your own drawings to put into your presentations or Google Forms. And we're going to be laser focused on Google Forms today to collect that valuable feedback from the different stakeholders for your teaching. So to get started, you've already logged into Google with your Gmail account, and then you go to the Create tab. That's part of Google Drive, and there you have your choices of what you want to create. Select Google Form. Now, what gets a little confusing, and I'll say it repeatedly, what gets a little confusing is because Google Form is tied to Google Spreadsheet. So the form, think about the form as the, hey, wow, this looks really nice, quick survey. It looks the pretty side of it. The minute somebody submits data on their form, it automatically is populated in the spreadsheet. So that's how they're connected. So think form, pretty, nice interface. Spreadsheet is where the data is put. This is the basic form. Now, don't get upset. It's ugly. This is just the entering information part. Make sure you add a title to your form, or if not, you'll have many untitled forms in your Google Drive. So go ahead and you title it first, and then if you need some help support text or something like that, you can go ahead and do that. Question number 1. Hint, hint, hint. If you need the information, if you need to know the person's name, you have to ask them, what is your name? Or if not, you won't get the information back. But if you are collecting from different stakeholders, you might want it anonymous. In that case, you wouldn't ask for the name. You might want to think about adding a question. What is your role? You know, are you an administrator? Are you a student or your parent? And that way, once all that information is put on a spreadsheet, then you can sort it so you can reflect on your instructional practice, because that's the whole purpose of why we're learning about Google Forms today. So go ahead, there's your question number 1, and then we can go on to add other questions. Now, the add button, when you're ready to add question number 2, the add button is up at the top. It seems like it should be at the bottom, but it's up at the top. And you can see the different types of questions you could have. What's nice about Google Forms is you don't have to have just one type of question. You could have multiple, mix it up however you'd like. So text, understand that. Paragraph text, longer text, multiple choice. You can have check boxes. I like the choose from a list where you can pull down, like it says, you're in a big school district, what building are you in? You could just go ahead and pull that from the list. The scale I use a lot, 1 to 5, rate this. And I haven't played with the grid one yet. If you have a real long survey, you probably want to think about putting in section headers so that the person completing the survey, it just makes it visually easier for them to do like chunks of the survey. Okay, now remember how ugly that one was? Now this shows you there's all different templates that are made, and they're continually adding different templates. So it does change all the time. And so as you look at some of the examples, you'll see, oh, I recognize that template, but there's hundreds to pick from. These are the templates that people have made in Google. And let's take, for example, the first one, Daily Student Feedback Form. Jason made this, and he submitted. Look in the upper right-hand corner. You see the Submit. And the Submit button, you can just go ahead and upload, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. I always start here at the templates because I know that if somebody has made something close to what I want, I can then download it, make a copy of it. See where it says use template? You're going to bring it into your drive, make a copy, rename it. And so once it's renamed, then go ahead and edit it. You just go in and edit it as if it was your own form. So it's a great way to save time. There's so many things. You're looking at, I think, just the education category, but there's all different ones. Just to let you know, if you know anybody in your life that is getting married, most people are planning their weddings through all these different templates that are made for you that are done. Little sidebar for you as we go. Here's an example of a student survey. Now, what you're seeing there is those are the paragraph boxes. They will continue to grow based on how much text is in there. And then they just applied the pretty theme of the orange books, which I use a lot. Now this one is a form without a theme or background. But the key thing I want to show you here is, do you see where it says red required? That little asterisk. For every question that you put in your survey, you can choose to make it required or not required, especially if you need to know the student's name. So let's say we want to make one night of open house. You want to collect from your parents the key information that you might not already have, preferred email, whatever it is. If you want to collect that information, you better make sure you put the required by the student's name, or you'll get all this data and you go, oh, I wonder what student that's hooked to. So it's really good. There you can see they use text, and then question number 1 is the scale. I like that, miserable to excellent. But the scale really lets you kind of drill into some data points. Here is a 20-question survey, and I got this again from the templates. You would, of course, change the name, and I'm sure you'd have to make some edits, but then you don't have to start from scratch. It might just give you some ideas. Now, when you are making your form, you can move your questions around, drag and drop kind of thing, but it doesn't drag and drop them on the spreadsheet, which can be a little frustrating if you want your data all kind of organized in one way. I always try to think before I make the form, what do I want my spreadsheet to look like? And then I kind of build backwards to make the form. Remember, told you I'd say it a couple times, this is the pretty side. This is the data collection. Behind the scenes, where all the data is put, is the spreadsheet. The great part is you don't ever have to make the spreadsheet. The minute you make your questions on your form, the spreadsheet is being built behind the scenes based on the questions that you put. So here's another example. This is one that I've used quite a bit. This is, see where that kind of paragraph of text, that was up underneath the description, underneath the title. Here is what the spreadsheet looks like. So in this case, I use the rankings, the 0 to 5, I think, and that, 0 to 5, and then everybody just picked out 0 through 5. Now, if you get lost, which you're going to get lost because just the way it's a little confusing, and I got to get back to my form, the pretty side. If you look up toward the top, there's form. In this case, it says 19. You would click on the form and then go to live form or edit the form. So either choice you have, you can go ahead and do that. Now, I like using the numbers because the data can pop right in and you can watch it in real time. So very often I'll put up a survey question, have somebody go, when the class is coming in, have them go do the question, and I can pull this up and watch the bars go up and down. I know exactly where my group is and where I need to start, where I need to spend more time. And so I really like using the scale. Now, just like everything else in Google, you have sharing settings. You can choose to share this with people or not. Now, the nice part with the form, once you go to the live form and you see it, every single thing in Google has its own unique web address. And you can see that huge address across the top there. That is unique to this form. So now what you could do, you could Twitter it, put it out through email. You could put it on your website, and then click, that will go right to the form, and then people can answer it. Now, you make the choice who can have access to it. So if you're making the form and you want the feedback, because we're doing this to get feedback from different groups, you might not need to share the form, with anybody because you don't want to edit it. You just want people to take the form. And so I take the questions, and then the data goes into your spreadsheet. So you may not want to share it. It's up to you. They all go into your Google Drive, and they all are listed along with all your other documents there. So you always have a record, so you can always go back and make changes into that form. One of the other nice parts of all of the apps within Google Drive is the ability to comment. So you can solicit comments from people as they're doing it. So they might not be answering the form, or they might be, but they could also be commenting, which is another way that you can use feedback from your students, parents, or colleagues. So growing and developing professionally. This is 4D, part 6 of 6. Thanks.